people want to hear another rap, and others don't really give a single crap. But I won't stop doing them because it's my thing. Now with every lyric that I bring, people can think about new ideas, new possibilities. Yes, it's genius. And some pokey news here and there. There are many pokey tubers that love them, but others don't care. But an episode is an episode, and every section will be showed. So yep, I won't change. I've been giving it my all, and that's why I'll explode like an electrode. 5k subs and I'll keep going. I just can't get enough. The journey has been quite tough, and this time around it'll be about Plasma Gale. Will I prevail with doing a sweet review, or will I fail? And then there's boundaries cross. Our next set is around the corner. We're not lost, we know we'll be getting stuff from Freeze Ball and Cold Flare. Are you aware? Landorus EX might give the ill players a tear, and maybe the fusion current dragons are overhyped. But wait, let us compare. Dragon Venus will give us indeed a bit of fear. New stuff, new stuff, I just know we can't stop. New stuff, new stuff, I'll show you every single detail, yup. New stuff, yeah, let's go to the shop. New stuff, and that will take us to the top. What's up YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and in this episode we'll look over some new stuff. So in other words, this episode is all about Poke News, and it's quite exciting, so let's get straight into it. We start with some images from Boundaries Crossed, which is our new set that will be available in stores on November 7th, and it will contain mostly cards from the Japanese sets Cold Flare and Freeze Bolt. So as you see, Gale and Landorus are on the booster covers, so we'll be getting those EXs, and we'll also be getting the team decks that contain White Kyurem or Black Kyurem. Both those are hollows, and those haven't been released yet in Japan, so for once we'll be getting something sooner than them, which is awesome. There will also be collection boxes for Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, and those contain 4 Boundaries Cross boosters, a figurine, and a sweet promo card, and then something TCG Online related as well, a code card. So definitely something nice to look forward to. And next up on my list is Black and White 2, the video game which will be released very soon on October 7th to be specific. So check out the English trailers in the description below, and be sure to check out the video game if it finally hits the stores. Next up, I want to talk about a new method for earning championship points. I talked about it before. If you want to get an invite to Worlds, to the trading card game and stuff like that, you will have to get points up to the mark, which is 400 points. So if you have 400 points, you're sure to get an invite to Worlds. The good news is that if you win a national championship, you get 500 points, and that will definitely secure you to get an invite. So the points are sort of equal to the stuff in the past, but the thing you should know is that you can't pass invites anymore. In the past, there were many good players that couldn't go to Worlds, and they gave their invites to other good players, but now you get championship points for winning a national championship, and you can't give away points. So in other words, you can only go to Worlds by earning the invite yourself, which is a good thing for the game, of course. That way you'll get more better players at Worlds. Alright, we're still talking about English news, so here are 7 scans from Boundaries Crossed that should make a little bit more interesting for people that haven't bought cards recently, because the EXs are looking pretty sweet. We have a Landorus EX, which is the alternate form of Landorus. Then there's also Black Kyurem EX, White Kyurem EX, Landorus EX Full Art, Black Kyurem EX Full Art, and White Kyurem EX Full Art. And then there's also an Ace Pack card already available as a scan. There's Crystal Edge. So as expected, we'll be getting 90% of the cards from Cold Flare and Freeze Bolt. Okay, next up we have a blister pack that will come with the new set, and it's a 3-pack blister with an Empoleon promo card, which is nice. There's also a 2-pack blister that will feature a reprinted version of the Raichu of Next Destiny. So I would go with the Empoleon blister because that promo card isn't available yet anywhere else, and it isn't a reprint card either, so you can get a promo card and 3 packs, which is always better than just 2 packs. And the last thing on my list for the English news is the movie, the 15 Pokemon movie Kyurem versus the Sword of Justice movie will air on Cartoon Network on Saturday, December 8th to be exact in the US, so be sure to check that out if you have that on your television or something, or watch it online when it's available, because the trailer looks kind of epic, and you can watch it by clicking the link in the description below after this episode. And now let's go over some Japanese news, which is a lot. Let's begin with the long-awaited Plasma Gale review. and just to let you guys know, I'm not going to talk about every little card in the set because yeah, I could be talking for hours here, and yeah, this is about a limited time that I want to upload because usually if you watch an episode that takes like 30 minutes, you just can't watch it completely because you don't have the time to watch that many yeah, minutes of quantity. So next up, yeah, we start with the Torterra from the Plasma Gale set with 150 HP. It will have water resistance. It deals 60 damage with its first attack, and the side effect of the attack is any damage done to Torterra during your opponent's next turn is reduced by 20. So it could be a decent wall, but with no grass energy acceleration, I don't think it'll be that useful at the moment. His second attack deals 80 damage and lets you flip a coin, or actually it lets you flip coins until you get tails, and for each head you deal 20 extra damage. So it's a strong card, but it's way too slow in this format without grass energy acceleration. Next is Chiron, which has an ability that he'll 20 damage of one of your Pokemon that has a grass energy attached. So this can also work with Blend Energy and Prism Energy, by the way, so people might test that out. Next is Amoonguss, which lets you flip a coin with his first attack, and if it's heads, you can choose 3 cards from your opponent's hand without looking, and let your opponent shuffle them back into his or her deck. So this could be quite disruptive. If you can use that on turn 2 or something, then that way your opponent will have no cards in their hand. But then again, if they top deck Juniper or Random Receiver, you're completely screwed anyway, so I don't think that will be used. Next we have Infernape. I talked about that one before in the previous episode, which is quite a fast attacker because on turn 2 you can deal 120 damage with the right energies, and if you have rare candy by your side. And now to the first EX of the set. I know I'm going a bit fast, but yeah, there's a ton of news, so I can go through them as fast as I can and let you guys know every new stuff that is coming out. Okay, Victini EX. This EX lets you search your deck for 2 basic energies and lets you attach those to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. So it's an ideal opening move, and its second attack deals 50 damage, and it deals actually 100 damage instead if you're up against an EX Pokemon. So you might think that Victini EX is rather weak, but there's also a Ace-Pack card available, Victory Piece, which states if this tool card is attached to Victini EX can use all of its attacks without the necessary energy requirements. So it reminds us of Yanmega Prime of the past, being able to use your attacks without energy, so quite good, but it's quite hard to get out these Ace-Pack cards. Now let's go on to the second EX of the set, Articuno EX. This card is actually really good, to be honest. It has a metal weakness, which is decent because metal Pokemon aren't being played that much. Then we have a fighting resistance, which is really nice against Terrakion, and it has only 1 retreat cost. So with Skyro Bridge you have free retreat and good attacks. The first attack deals 60 damage and 10 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon as a side effect, so that's really great. And the second attack is even better, dealing 80 damage, and if Articuno has a Plasma Energy attached to it, the defending Pokemon is automatically paralyzed each time. So I expect some greatness out of this card in the future. Next is Ludocoil, which has yeah, it reminds me of the Colosseum games with Mirror B and stuff. Anyway, this Pokemon which has the ability to heal 20 damage between turns from itself, so it's kind of like if you use Rain Dance in the video games, it heals itself as, like that. But with only 130 HP, it's a rather weak card. This one won't see playability just yet. You can even use a Giant Cape if you want to, but I don't see any promise in that card. Next is a Manaphy, which has a unique ability that states if Manaphy is knocked out by your opponent's attack, search your deck for any card you like and put it in your hand. So this can be quite useful to get out Ace-Pack cards, and yeah, just to sacrifice 1 prize card. Also, it lets you flip 3 coins. For each head you can take an energy from your discard pile, actually a water energy, and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. And next we have Beartic, the one that I talked about before. Deals 20 damage times the number of damage counters on him, and that's quite good because you can deal a lot of damage that way, but you do have to have damage on you. So yeah, I don't see if you're gonna have something like Reuniclus combo Beartic, but that's like a rogue deck and I don't see it'll work in the future. Next we have Magnezone, which makes it return back to the trading card game. I really like Magnezone because I played with it for a while when the Prime was available, and for some reason Pokemon decided to give it an awesome ability. Once more, it lets you play 2 supporters instead of 1 per turn, so you can definitely understand this one will be played a lot. If definitely it will be tested out, but I don't think everyone will play it. But if you play it, you can play 2 supporters a turn, and that will help a lot. Also dealing 80 damage with 3 energies and having a side effects like War Point on the attack itself is quite nice. So with Electric and Magnezone, we might see a comeback of Magnezone in the competitive scene. Then we have Rotom, which I talked about before as well, dealing 20 damage times the number of trainer cards you find in your opponent's hand with a second attack, and that also counts as supporters, stadiums and items, so you can yeah, just count them up and deal the damage. Then we have Zubat. Yep, that's right, the most annoying Pokemon in the video games is back in the trading card game as well. and its ability is the exact same thing as Yanma from the old and illegal Triumphant set, and that is having free retreat if you don't have any energies attached to your Zubat. And with the help of Rare Candy, it goes straight to Crobat, which I talked about as well in another episode. And this one has an ability to draw a card just like Noctowl from the Herd Gold Soul Silver set. So this can be helpful indeed to draw an extra card which you might need, like that extra catcher if you want to have a catcher. And you just use the ability, you can have the chance of getting that catcher if you don't have one in your hand already. Also, his attack deals 40 damage and poisons your opponent's Pokemon severe, because your opponent will have to put 4 damage counters onto the poison Pokemon between turns instead of just one, and that's really deadly. It also has free retreat, so it might be another playable card indeed. Too bad there isn't any Psychic Energy Acceleration yet, otherwise I'll definitely try this out. And next we have Weezing! Yeah, that's right, this one has a nice ability that states, when this Pokemon is knocked out by an opponent's deck, discard the top 3 cards from your opponent's deck. So it's kind of a troll Pokemon that we could test out. And next we have Gale with 140 HP, and it deals 20 damage times the total amount of energies on your side of the field. So with Energy Acceleration, Gale could be useful because it can use the attack for only a DCE, so it can be played indeed. Next we have Giratina, a legendary Pokemon which can deal 50 damage, plus 50 more if the defending Pokemon is affected by a special condition. So with the new item card, Hypnotic Poison, something like that, you can easily get this card to work for you because you can poison your opponent and make them asleep as well. And yeah, it can definitely deal 100 damage really soon. Next we have Lucario with the Dual Armor ability that states, if this Pokemon has Metal Energy attached to it, this Pokemon becomes Fighting and Metal type at the same time. So dual types are coming back into the game just like with Lantern Prime. And here's a Liepard, which has an interesting first attack that lets you look at your opponent's hand and discard a supporter you find there, and then you can use the effect of that supporter as well as the attack. So it's quite useful, but for a stage 1, I don't know. And here we have the third EX from the set, Cobalion EX. It's a sweet EX that can attack on turn 1 with only 1 energy, dealing 30 damage and discarding a special energy attached to the defending Pokemon as an extra effect. And a second attack deals 100 damage, and the attack's damage isn't affected by weakness, resistance or any other effects on the defending Pokemon. So a nice EX indeed. Then we have Clefable that lets you flip a coin during your turn once. With this ability you can search your deck. If it's head, of course you can search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves of one of your Pokemon in play and let you evolve it straight away even if you played it down this turn. So it's quite powerful to evolve Pokemon really fast. Like weaker Pokemon like Dynamos go straight into Electric even if you play them on this turn. So with some luck on coin flips you can get your Eels out much faster, but you do have to get out that Clefable. It takes up an extra bench slot. But anyway, next we have the well-known sleepy lazy Pokemon Snorlax. His ability Block makes you that your opponent can retreat if Snorlax is your active Pokemon. Also his attack is really decent. It deals 30 damage times the number of Team Plasma Pokemon on your side of the field, making it quite easy to deal 180 damage and being able to knock out EXs quite fast with that. So Snorlax is a great playable card. Next is Togekiss. Also this Pokemon has an ability, it states, if Togekiss is your active Pokemon and when your opponent uses an item card, all of the Pokemon are unaffected by any of its attacks, like the new item card I'll talk about that makes you poisons and sleep as well. You can prevent that with this ability, but I don't think it's that useful. Togekiss won't be played in my opinion. Unless there comes out a new item card that'll really tear apart the format. Otherwise I don't see Togekiss being in any competitive deck. Next we have the last EX of the set, Lugia EX. I talked about this one before, but for the new viewers out there, let me remind you, this ability of Lugia EX makes it so you can pick an extra prize card for every Pokemon you knock out with Lugia EX. And his attack deals 120 damage, but you have to discard a Plasma Energy in order to use the attack, otherwise you just deal no damage at all. Now let's look at the full art cards of the EXs. As you see, for collectors it's also nice to get your hands on these upcoming EXs because they look so sweet. And now the items and supporters of the set. First there's a Colorless Machine, which lets you search your deck for a Team Plasma Energy card and lets you attach it to your one of your Plasma Pokemon straight away. So this Plasma Energy will definitely be part of the set, as you see, and it'll be used quite a lot in Plasma decks to get that Lugia EX to use his attack, or to use Articuno as attacks to paralyze your opponent time after time. And then there's the item card I talked about, Poison Hypnotic Beam. Yeah, that's what it's called. That lets you flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon is now poisoned and asleep. If tails, the defending Pokemon is poisoned. So either way, you can't fail. That's a nice item card to put in your deck to poison your opponent to get that extra damage by poisonous. Next is the best supporter ever, Colorless. It lets you shuffle your hand into your deck and lets you draw cards equal to the total amount of bench Pokemon on both players' side, which means a maximum of 10 cards can be drawn with this supporter. That's why it's also available as a full art version, and that's why many people want it that way. Then there's also another supporter called Team Plasma Grunt, which lets you discard a Plasma card from your hand. It can be a Pokemon, an item card, whatever, and if you discard it, you can draw 4 cards, so it's like an extra Chirin that gives you 1 extra card if you discard 1 from your hand. Next is a Stadium card, the only one from the set, that gives all Pokemon with a Plasma energy attached to it free retreat. This also counts for regular Pokemon that aren't Plasma Pokemon, so this could be used for heavy retreaters. And yeah, and now to the Ace Pack cards, we have Scramble Switch, and this one states, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, then you may move any number of energies attached to that Pokemon to the new active Pokemon. So it can help you out in tough situations when you're poisoned, or if you want to retreat and give the energies to someone else. So quite decent in certain decks, as I said. And then now we have the new Junk Arm, which is now called Dowsing Machine, and yeah, it lets you discard 2 cards from your hand in order to get an item card back from your discard pile, for those of you that didn't know what Junk Arm was. So Junk Arm, as you see, was way too good in the last format, that's why they decided to bring it back as an Ace Pack card this time around. Then there's the Victini EX tool card I talked about, but yeah, you already know that. So all that's left now is to talk about the Shining cards and the last full art of the set. Okay, there's also a reprinted Skyla in this set, which is a nice supporter as well. For those of you that don't know what Skyla does, it lets you search your deck for a trainer card and put it in your hand. So a decent supporter as well. Lastly, there are 3 shinies, Blastoise, Charizard, and Random Receiver. They are all looking quite expensive, and they will be, trust me. Blastoise is a really playable card thanks to his ability, and Charizard is just Charizard. And something you should know in the trading card game, Charizard for some reason is so popular that it's always expensive in every set. So yeah, that'll be expensive, the Charizard Shining. And then there's also Random Receiver, which is of course really playable as well, since this is in my current deck, Darkrai X, Hey Dragon. I also use 2 Random Receivers. If you haven't watched the random video where I talked about how to create your own deck, you should check that out, because there I talk about how good Random Receiver can be in combination with Sableye. Now that I reviewed the entire set, you'll have an idea of what's waiting for us in the future. Although there are more cards to be shown, there's a Plasma Ball, which lets you search your deck for a Team Plasma Pokemon card, and this is a promo card for those of you that didn't know already. And then there's also Klinklang, that makes your Metal Pokemon immune for EX attacks from your opponents because of his ability, and it's also available in the Japanese Team deck. So now that we got that out of the way, we can finish off this episode with some more Japanese news. We have some Japanese EXs available. We have Zapdos EX, Black Kyurem EX, Moltres EX, and White Kyurem EX. They are all looking really nice, but I'll wait with strategies and stuff like that until we have some English scans, because we don't want to look too far ahead, because we have to remain where we are right now, because we're actually standing behind really far in comparison with the Japanese people. And a thing that I want to say though is that the White Kyurem EX, the new one, has an attack that deals 100 damage plus 10 more for each damage counter on him, so this can be a maximum of let's say 270 damage, yeah, and you can even add in Crystal Edge to deal even 50 more damage, which makes the total damage 320 damage. Wow, that's a lot if you ask me. And now to the last thing on my list, the 8 Japanese Black and White set is coming out in December. I know I just reviewed the 7 Japanese Black and White set, and they're already starting up in the next one, so lots of work for me to put out these videos online. It'll be called Spiral Force and Thunder Knuckle, and it will be available on the 14th of December in Japan. It'll probably feature Deoxys EX and Thundurus EX and some other EXs we haven't gotten before, assuming from the booster arts, that is. And that's it for another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button, because you know I always appreciate that, and that gives me actually the motivation to make more videos like this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, here's the button, and that will automatically subscribe you to my channel, and that way you'll know once there's a new video on my channel. Anyway, this was ZapdosTCG here. Thanks again for watching an episode, and have a nice day, and I'll see y'all next time. Yo!